Welcome viewers, we have Mr. Sachin Kalra with us. First of all, Mr. Kalra, welcome to Business
Thank
World.
you, thank you.
We'll be talking over the personal data bill which has been recently been passed by the cabinet, and we'll get an overview of the bill with Mr. Kalra. So what's your overview on the bill that has been passed?
Thanks, Business World. Just to start with, this entire conversation is my personal, nothing to talk about the organization part. When we talk about this particular bill which has come now, it's a good bill for the industry basically. A lot of things which has been captured from the industry perspective. It talks about consents to be taken, deemed consent which is there, can be engaged with the deemed consent part. It says about what data can be collected, whose data principal, what data fiduciary is there, and what are the protections which are given to us. With that, it also speaks about data protection board to be found by Government of India, and with that penalties to be levied in case of any breach or infringement of that particular part of the particular act is there. A lot of new things which has come up, and a lot of litigation, a lot of documentation which will come up through this to the industry. That's a basic challenge which is going to come up to the industries now. But overall, what I talked about, that what law is good to go basically with the start process. Comparative to the last draft which was there, comparative to GDPR which is there, it's quite liberal. And liberal in the sense, we can say data localization, which was the concept earlier, is been missing now. It says government will give you the states where the data can be transferred. How data can be stored, that's already be there. Data protection board to be found by Government of India. There can be a pros and cons. It says independent body is there, but a lot of things which government has to fit in this with the rules which to come up now. Looks like difficult that it's going to be independent, but nevertheless it's a government view. And we look forward for this particular law, how it's going to impact the entire industry now. So far as that deemed consent is, gives a good prospect to the businesses basically to work upon old data which is already collected, how to move on that particularly. Means whatever has been taken, we have to go in the market, give a notice, get a consent, and then we can work around on that data. With the purpose, what is there. Few things which are missing, I personally feel, like child protection, they say about child data to be collected. It should not be collected less than the person 18 years. Okay, guardian's permission is required. But what about the data which is already there? Because the social media, 60% account which I personally feel, which I read around, is of a young teenagers around 15 to 18 years. How this is going to map upon? How the fiduciary or going to find out whether he is a children or not? It says about the complaint, but impersonation, all those things. How those penalty structure will work in, how the complainant can get into back that. Those questions are very basic to start with.
So as you rightly mentioned, from the government point of view, the kind of overarching power that the government is having in this bill, are you critical of it, especially the surveillance reforms that has come up in this act?
See, if you're giving a power, it's same as a judicial power. It says it's like a civil court proceedings which used to be, and summons power, police help power is there. I personally feel it should be an independent body. A judicial body should always be independent from the executive body, but it is overreaching it other. And once it is overreaching, however, the appeal can lie into high court. But before appeal, there are a lot of things which is to be followed, and a lot of people, a lot of young startups can't afford this. For that, they say we'll come with the exemption, but exemption cannot be discriminated. It should be to all. That's a discrimination should not be there.
All right. So about the thing that I'd like to ask about it is said that it is too much left to the regulations. The bill is said to be very short in nature, and then is it a good thing? What can we drive?
I personally feel the better part of law should be detailed. The rules should follow, but rules should not overreach the act.
Okay. Yeah.
But here I have confused the whole rule will overreach the act because of this small version which may come up.
All right. So the exemptions part that has been mentioned will fall under the regulations.
Exemptions will come from the Government of India, and when Government of India will sit with the team, structure will be formed, and accordingly will come forward.
All right, and those exemptions.
Same is the powers of board.
It won't require the parliamentary clearance.
Parliamentary committee will look into that, and it will.
Okay,
Rules doesn't want parliamentary rules will be framed by the Government of India.
All right.
It is not going to go to Parliament. Parliament will act only.
Yes. These are all the features, and if we have to dive a little bit into the quantum of penalty that has been imposed. It can be, enormous, gigantic for the MSMEs. What are
Definitely.
your views in it? And keeping in mind that the GDPR too has a 4% cap of the penalties. What are your comments on that?
So my view is this also, the quantum of penalties mentioned is a too overreach, and the judgment lies on the board only. So in one case it can be 200 crore, it can be 300. There should be a matrix behind that. What is the matrix? For a startup or for a MSME, his business size is small. With that business size, penalty should be as per the business. He cannot be overreached, and that's a basically this entire form of empowerment which has been given. It should have been better that it could have been curtailed with the curtailed, not only curtailed, it could have been figured out with the matrix around what matrix should follow. Same GDPR follows the matrix. It is always better to have matrix. A small business of 10 crores gets a 200 crore penalty. How will pay? How will? That's the issue which can come up. See, it's a new law. It will be evaluated with the multiple things, and definitely government will look into it. My personal opinion.
All right. Looking it from the GDPR point of view, if I have to draw a comparison with the bill that was withdrawn earlier, as you also rightly mentioned that earlier it mandated that some of the companies will require to, their data storage needs to be in India. Now somehow it has been said that the
Diluted.
data transfer can happen. So do you think this was one of the things that was earlier disincentivizing the foreign companies and now it will incentivize them?
So, if I tell you, a lot of companies in India which work around, our social media company, big tech giants, all are entities which are from foreign. So, entire data which is captured, it goes to those countries because they are the parent entities on that part.
Yeah.
To work around, like a social media accounts. If you go for Facebook also, metadata is there. Metadata is not with India, it's with the metadata. So those things have been looked by the government, and that's good too basically, but there should be some restrictions on those part also, what can be and what not to be.
Okay.
So sensitive personal data,
That is the thing.
those all things which are critical for the person. And both that analysis of data by third party without the consent, that's a big question. All those things will frame out. It's just a NISI which law has come up, and we'll see that some major reforms which come. Reforms comes day by day. Like you see, IT Act came in 2000. After 2000, multiple changes are come. Government is also looking into it, and let's see with DIA coming up and what the other laws which are going to come up. Some challenges will be faced and will be formed again.
Okay, sir. As if we can look at the KS Puttaswamy Code decision, it has been outlined that the privacy is an integral part of Article 21, and with that thing, sir, I'd like to ask you the thing about the data erasing. That is something which is very difficult to achieve in today's world, especially what has been outlined in this act around the data fiduciary, and one of the point that you also mentioned is the data principle, which of 18 years and lesser people will go to the parent, and you rightly mentioned कि बच्चे तो वो social media में ही है जो 18 years से कम है, काफी quantity है. So what are your comments on that?
See, if you talk about this bill, as I told you, responsibility for fiduciary is there to look into it. Lot of things which are there, they have to follow those functions which has been provided to them. Nevertheless, to achieve those targets, it will take good lot of time to come up. On a day when you say it should be complied, it can't be. It takes good time to implement that, and I personally feel implementation will take another couple of years to implement all over.
And about the data erase
So there's a law which says the right to withdraw is available to the data principal. Every company should have a data protection officer or a consent officer, which has to do it. Data withdrawal is going to be very challenging once the data is already fed. That's a challenge for everyone. And let's see how the data techniques works upon and technology works upon. This bill is really silent on a part which is physical data which has been collected. Okay. It's only all about digital, online or online processing. What about the physical data? Well, it will be governed by the old law only. How it will be governed? There are a lot of physical data which has been flowed. Like I say, when you buy a SIM card, you give your ID, Aadhaar card to the local distributor.
Yes.
That data goes to the company is okay, but how those data is going to collect by those people reaching to the main level, and it should be restricted by them. That's when a third party collecting the data is going to be challenged always.
All right. Anything that we have missed out and you'd like to convey to the viewers?
From my point of view, is basically which I was looking into, that yes, this law is new. Some more strengthening and enforcement provision required to be delivered, which may come on the rules also, and independence of data board is much required, which should not be behind that government is forming that. It should be a judicial act and judicial processes to be followed on that.
All right, so that's it from our conversation. That the Act has certain discrepancies, but those need to be, inculcated in the regulations coming ahead, and the rules need to be made in such a way that all the loopholes, all the gaps are plugged in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.